Did you know that Google personalizes many searches by city and Also Asked is the only tool to access live People Also Asked data at city level? Try for free at alsoasked.com.
Tired of SEO guesswork? Quadra's AI agent goes deeper to uncover high-impact optimizations and completes hours of SEO in minutes. Get started now.
I was going to say that SEO with Fat Joe is as peaceful as this, but then the birds are all having fights.
Hello. I'm going to ask you to do something really cringy. I need to prove to my kids that I don't just come to conferences and drink and party all the time. So can I please take a selfie with you all guys just to prove that I am actually working and doing something important? Brilliant. Right, now we can get on with it. So, who here uses demographics? Anybody? Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you a bit of a sad truth. Demographics actually don't work. From a psychological perspective, tests have been done on them, and they are about as reliant as pulling something out of your butt. They're basically just guesswork. But we can use something else instead called psychographics, and that's what I am going to be talking to you about and how to target people based on their mindset. So I'm sure loads of you who've seen this go around LinkedIn. Again, couldn't resist having a bit of little in my presentation. So you've got King Charles, as he is now, and Ozzy Osbourne. Demographically, they're both exactly the same. They're both male, born in the same year, live in castles from the UK, wealthy and famous. But I would never target the two of them the same way because they're both completely different. So hopefully, I'll show you how to do it with psychographics instead. So what are these famous psychographics that I am talking about? So psychographics are basically psychological cues, things like personality data, personality types, all that kind of stuff, that you can use to segment your target audience based on the way that they think psychologically rather than, characteristics like we looked at with the Ozzy Osbourne thing. There's so many different ways that you can actually get into it that I would be here all day if I went through kind of psychographics in a lot of detail. So I'm going to focus on one point, which are mindsets. So mindsets are what we call implicit theories, which are beliefs that people have about certain characteristics, which basically shape people's motivation and how people see the world and how people think. There's two main types of mindsets in psychology, and I'm sure you've all heard about people going on about mindsets, and especially on LinkedIn with business people talking about it. One is a fixed mindset. So people with a fixed mindset believe that, you're born with your intelligence. It's something that you have inside them. You're either clever, you're either stupid, and there's nothing that you can really do to change it. People with a fixed mindset kind of don't really like feeling like they're less than other people. So, for example, they don't like feedback because it makes them feel like they're not as good as they should be. Kind of people as well that, if somebody else is successful, they might be a bit jealous of it. Whereas on the other hand, you have a growth mindset. And people with a growth mindset believe that intelligence is something that you build. So your skills can actually be improved. So, for example, you have like playing a violin or something. People with a fixed mindset believe that, you're born with a talent. Either you can do it or you can't. Or if you have a growth mindset, you need to practice and you need to invest into it. People with growth mindsets like challenges, and also they have passion for learning and different opportunities. Just so you know that there is some actual psychological concepts behind what I'm talking about. They were all thought out. This is the work of a lady called Carol Dweck, who's a psychologist. She specialized in something called mindset theory and came up with the fixed versus growth mindset things. This has shaped education, it shaped parenting, it shaped businesses. It's had a massive impact on the psychological world. And she's also a professor and an author of the book Mindset. So if you want to go away and find out more about what I'm talking about, I'd recommend reading the book. It's really good. But why? Why am I on stage at Brighton SEO talking about mindsets when we're at an SEO conference? Well, mindset shapes people's consumer behavior, and, consumer behavior is something that we all want to hack. It's something that we all need to, understand in order to get people to convert and do stuff that we want them to do. Just to give you an example, there have been tests on, demographics versus psychographics and different types of targeting. And just companies who have literally switched a title to be more psychographically based rather than demographically based have actually increased their click-through rates and conversions by double. So when you actually implement it into your landing pages, into your website copy, into everything, that's how you can actually do 5 times more with 5 times less, and it works really, really well. So bear with me. When it comes to SEO as well, we're in the day and age where we're told there's so many million things that we need to do. We need to get the pages to rank faster. We need to, create content with AI. We need to write blog posts. We need to work on page speed. We need to do a million different things. We need to do link building. But everybody's kind of doing the same thing. And I think in this day and age, we need to find a way to really, differentiate ourselves in order to, keep going and survive in such a crowded industry. So I'd like to suggest, lots of people don't really think about it, but consumer psychology can actually really help you. And it can give you an edge. It can give your website the edge. It can give your clients the edge. So do consider it. But anyway, back to mindsets before I go off on a completely different tangent about consumer psychology. So mindsets actually shape how consumers respond to different stimuli. And to give you an example, people with fixed mindsets incorporate brands into their sense of self. So if you, for example, work for a luxury brand, you work for a car brand, you work for a brand that can be seen as more of a lifestyle choice, you're going to be targeting people with a fixed mindset. Brands that are a lifestyle choice, as I just mentioned, people with fixed mindsets use them to prove their statuses. So this is why you see people driving around with fast cars, maybe taking out loans to drive fast, fancy cars, identifying as, say, I'm definitely an Apple person rather than something else. This is all because, mindset. How does this work in marketing, though? So I'm going to go into it in a little bit more detail further on in the presentation. But basically, for fixed mindset people, easy tricks that you can use. Focus on the ease of use of the service, because people don't want to feel like they're having to put effort into it. They just want a result and they expect your product to give them that result. Focus on performance-related goals. So basically, instead of talking about pain points and improving, focus on how it'll improve their performance. You need to talk about how attractive your products will make them. So again, if you run an e-shop, if you're in e-commerce and stuff like that, optimize for these kind of things. You can try comparisons as well. So once I was X, now I am Y. Talk about the traits that consumers have. So, you could be successful with my product. You could, lose lots of weight with my product, that kind of thing. And also emphasize imagery as well. So when you're doing your image SEO and choosing pages for a website, think about that as well. Whereas growth mindset people can prefer effort-based goals. So they want to really put the effort in. They want products that fits the issue that they're facing rather than being an instant solution. So again, how this works in marketing. Again, you need to show how your brand will actually help them grow as a person and how them and your brand together will get to where they want to be. You need to focus on learning-based goals as well. When it comes to content, people with fixed mindsets, they don't really like lots of content explaining how everything does. They really just care about the result. Whereas people with a growth mindset, again, you need to show how it works in detail in order for them to trust you. You need to show how to meet your consumers' learning goals and improvement goals, and also emphasize the quality of the product as well. So I'll give you a quick example. Like in marketing and content, we're always trained to focus on pain points. And we did X, Y, Z and we improved things. So a typical example would be we reduced the amount of calories in our food by 30%. And that sounds great. And, as copywriters and so on, it's something that we would do. However, that actually has a mixed reaction from people with different mindsets. And it's not always positive to focus on that. So people with a growth mindset will think, okay, this is great. They've improved. They weren't perfect before. This is better. Whereas people with a fixed mindset will actually have a really, really negative reaction to that. And they will think, oh my God, the product was flawed before. Why was I eating it before with 30% more calories? So take that with a pinch of salt and actually be careful when you start using those kind of techniques in your copy. So what can we do about that kind of thing? So again, when you're framing the reduction of certain attributes of your product and stuff, make sure that you make it positive. Make sure you make it look like you've done a greater scale of improvements and stuff like that. And also don't highlight every single reduction, because otherwise people will think, oh my God, my product's broken. So how do you actually go about doing this in real life? So there's a couple of ways that we can find out what our target audience mindsets are. And I'll show you how to do that now. So first of all, you can look for things like behavioral cues. So people with fixed mindsets, they want quick results. They like prestigious brands. So again, luxury brand, you're onto fixed mindset people. They like expert recommendations, so that really works well for them. When it comes to keyword research and stuff, you can also use that to kind of understand what sort of people are searching for your products. So things like proven, top rated, the best, that sort of thing. That's a cue for fixed mindset people as well. And also they prefer one-time purchases over like subscription models and stuff like that. On the other hand, you have growth mindset people. So they like experimentation. They like learning over time. They like personal growth. They always look for kind of like journey-based keywords or improvement keywords or how do I do this sort of keywords. And they're interested in things like courses, subscriptions, progress over time. So again, that kind of helps. Something you can also do is do surveys. So you can create surveys that you send out to your consumers and ask them kind of things like, what matters most to you? Improving yourself? Improving yourself. When you're faced with a challenge, do you tend to avoid it or take it as a chance to grow? And you can do this in onboarding quizzes, you can do lead magnets, you can do post-purchase surveys. There's lots of different things that you can do with surveys. Something you can also do is social media and text analysis. So this is where you can get a bit clever and you can start looking at, for example, text analysis using LLMs and stuff like that. So you can go through and actually scrape and find out, what language are people using? Are they using fixed language? So does this make me successful? I don't want to fail. I'm not an ex-person versus this helps me grow. Mistakes help me improve. I'm not there, but I'm learning. That sort of thing. Other tools that you can use, even things like customer support interaction. So when it comes to SaaS, are people willing to actually explore the product by themselves, or do they come straight onto live support to get the answer? You can do psychographic segmentation. So again, if people are journey-oriented, curious or status-focused, results-driven, that sort of thing. And as well, make sure that you A/B test absolutely everything. And how do we use this in content? Because that's why you're all here. So again, understand people's psychological profiles. So you need to understand people's core beliefs. Are abilities fixed or can they grow with effort? What's people's motivation? Is it success, status, or is it improvement and mastery? What sort of language do they like in their content? So is it clear, authoritative, or is it encouraging and progress focused? When it comes to risks, are people willing to take risks or are they okay with trial and error? Content tone as well. So are people do they want expert back results, or are they more open and exploratory as well? For fixed mindset people, make sure that you emphasize expertise and status. So you can use things like trusted by top professionals, we see results XYZ faster, use social proof. Keep content clean and polished. So provide answers, avoid ambiguity, and also use structured formats like lists and stuff like that. Also use validating language. So you need to prove your skills, you need to show what you're best at, and also things like, take your place amongst the top 1%. Offer quick wins and final outcomes. So again, this is where your templates and everything come in really nicely. And the best content types for fixed mindset people are case studies, make sure that they're measurable, use comparison posts, awards, credentials, expert reviews, webinars with high status speakers. And these are all things that you can easily implement into your marketing and SEO efforts as well. For growth mindset people, again, emphasize process and learning. So use words like grow, explore, try. And you can use titles, for example, what I learned from failing at XYZ. Create a community. People with a growth mindset like to feel like they're together. So make sure that you're using community. You can use things like You're Not Alone. You can use peer stories. You can create like progress apps, that sort of thing. Encourage self-discovery. So again, this is where things like reflective exercises, quizzes, and journalism, that's not even a word, but journaling comes into it. If you want a tip for things like journaling, Tasmin Suleiman has some really, really great resources. So I would definitely suggest checking her out, and they might be able to inspire you with stuff that you can actually implement into your marketing as well. Frame failure as a learning opportunity. So again, if people failed the first time, let's move it forward. Let's improve. Let's do things and get people to share their progress as well. And ideal content types are like beginner-friendly tutorials, experiments, challenges, podcast interviews, personal growth stories, and learning-focused newsletters. So again, this is stuff that we all do in marketing and stuff that we can do really nicely as well. Here's a little cheat sheet as well, if you want to summarize kind of what I've just talked about. So I'll leave that on screen for a couple of seconds. And then you have something called a dual mindset. So you might be thinking, oh my God, my target audience are not fixed mindset, they're not growth mindset, but they're both. How the hell do I deal with that? Well, there's a way. What you need to do is you need to frame things for both mindsets. So again, here's some examples with some titles. Again, talk about achievement and status, then talking about learning through effort. Again, talk about high performance and success, and also reflection and growth. Be the best, continuous growth, transformation, mastery. Here's some ideas for landing page copy and stuff that you can do. So you could have, for example, like get certified by experts and learn the skills to keep evolving, crush your goals while building habits. Again, these are ways that you can target both mindsets and actually have it appeal to both. The way that you can do this is basically lead with a fixed mindset hook. So focus on results and status, and then layering growth messaging as well. Use imagery for both, and also use verbs, for example, like master, crush, dominate for fixed mindset, and then learn, explore, and grow for growth mindsets as well. When it comes to digital PR as well, you can use tools like WordPress, for example, and you can actually focus on publications that cater to people with different mindsets. So again, if you want to go after fixed mindset people, use fixed mindset copy. You can choose publications that maybe cater to fixed mindset people, and so on. So that works really well with your digital PR efforts as well. And let's finish off with some real life examples. So for example, you have Ryanair. They target to people with fixed mindsets. They're basically for people who don't care about the experience, but just want to get to where they're going. And again, they do that pretty well. Again, we've got Amazon, so they're more into one-click purchases. They're more into, speed, efficiency, convenience, and it's more very much, I buy it, move on. When it comes to growth mindset, you have companies like IKEA, which talk about, experiences, exploration. You have to sit, you have to play, you need to, build your own stuff, and they try to get you to, imagine possibilities more. And I think finally, the best example for growth mindset is probably Nike, because they target people who want to challenge themselves and learn. So typical growth mindset people, and they have things like a training club, an app which allows you to connect to people and really do things that, work. So thank you very much. That's just the tip of the iceberg. So if anybody wants to come and talk about this or have any questions afterwards, connect with me on LinkedIn, send me an email. I'm going to be at the White Press booth. I can talk about this all day, so it would be great to speak to you. Thank you.
Demand Sphere. Limitless visual insights from the SERPs. Unlimited dashboards and users. Easy to use and easy to scale your growth to new levels.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.